Okay, today I'm going to be putting fuel injectors in a 1993 Dodge Dakota pickup truck with a V6 3.9. Get your top off of there. You'll see these are labeled with your various relays. You're going to want to pull that one that's right there. It says fuel pump relay. Problem I'm having is one injector not working, and it's throwing a code 27 and 51. So I'm going to crank the truck up, and then I'm going to pull my fuel pump relay. One on the very corner right here. The truck should cut off. There we go. Okay, the truck's died down. I'm going to disconnect my battery cables. Okay, disconnecting my battery cable. I'm using a 1/2 inch wrench. And what I'm going to do to clear my computer, instead of snapping the battery cables together, is I'm going to tie a 10-watt 1 ohm resistor across the battery cables. This will slowly drain the capacitors in my computer while I'm working on this. You can get these on eBay. They're about anywhere from $6 to $10. Okay, I have my resistor tied off. It's a little makeshift thing I made for that, but it works pretty good. Okay, next you'll want to remove your breather to gain access to your throttle body, which you're going to have to take off. Remove your hose there. That comes off. Magnum V6. Okay, to remove your throttle cable, you just pop that off. You just pull on it and it comes off. You see that ball there? It just connects on there. You just pull that off. For this one, you're going to have a little slide in the back of it. As you see, you just pull forward and slide that back until you come to that big part, and it just comes off just like that. Okay, another thing we're going to do to relieve our fuel pressure is take our gas cap off. And up here also there's a valve right here. It's called a Schrader valve. We're going to press that in and release any pressure that's left. As you can see, I got some pressure in there that's coming out. So I've just dropped a rag right there to kind of catch that, but you can see the pressure bubbling out. You can hear that too. That way when I take my fuel line off, I won't have a lot of air. Okay, now that I've got my fuel pressure released, I'm going to release some electronic connections. One's on the back right here. I think this is the idle air control. We're gonna kind of put that over here, and then this is the throttle position control, or TPC control. We're going to release that, and then this is the map sensor plug. We will Oh, release that as well. Vacuum hose that connects right here. Right into the throttle body there. We're going to want to take that off. You'll want to be careful taking this hose off right here, this particular one, because I broke my original one time taking that off. And I just repaired it with a piece of vacuum hose, but there's supposed to be like a check valve there too. Not really sure what the deal is with this line, but anyway, be careful if you're taking your original one off there. There's another cable you'll want to disconnect right here. That's on this sensor right here. That'll be in your way when you're doing stuff. You will see that plugs in right there. You'll want to take that off. Lay it to the side. I've got a 3/8 and a 5/16 disconnect tool here. Could be used on either one. Just make sure you get those clips on the inside of that fitting right there. So right on the inside of it, just like that. I don't know if you can see that all that good, but you get it right around that fuel line, and then you get those splines in there and push in and pull on the back of that line, and it'll come apart. Getting that other one off, I can't even get my tool in there to get into it, so I'm going to wait and see if I can take that off after I get the fuel rail started off. And the next thing you're going to have to do is take off this air conditioner bracket, and then take this assembly here off. This part here is a 7/16. Pretty rusty. I sprayed it down actually. Now I can pull this assembly up and out of the way, just like that. Now you will see I've got a bolt here. I'm going to take this bolt off, then I got to take this air conditioning bracket bolt off. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to release my belt tensioner and take my belt off. A 15mm will release this belt tensioner. Just pull up on that, pull up on your belt tensioner, and then come up here and pull your belt off of the top of this alternator. Okay, going with 13mm on this air conditioner bracket. Just take that off. Loosen these 3 bolts up. Kind of a triangle piece. Just take those loose. Once you get that bracket off, that's one of the bolts that holds this fuel rail on, as you can see right here. And then we're going to take this bolt right here off, and that'll release this side of the fuel rail. I got my air conditioner bracket off. There's 2 long bolts go in the front of this thing, and the short one goes in the back. Okay, it's a 1/2 inch wrench to take this bolt off. Oop. I dropped that bolt down in there. You guys like me when you drop something that goes to China. Okay, these 2 here are Torx bolts, are on the other side. This is a T30 that I'm trying to use. Hopefully that'll be it. I tell you, getting this loose with the torque wrench just did not work. I had to take a pair of vice grips to get that one loose, and probably have to do the same for the other. Next, you'll want to pull your fuel injector wires off, and to do that, you just grab a hold of each side of the plug and pull, and they come off. Be sure to mark them which one goes to which. And I noticed on these plugs they got numbers on them, so I just kind of marked above the rail there, 1 and a 3, so I'll know how they go back. And then I'll know this one back here goes there. Big problem I'm having here is I cannot get my second fuel line or that other one to come off back there because there's a bend in it. As soon as the quick disconnect is, I cannot get my blades in there to get it off. But it did give me enough play in the line to get my rail loose on this side, so I'm hoping I can just work with it like that on this side. And then I'm going to come over here and work this side loose. Okay, to get your injectors out, you just got to rock them back and forth till they come out, and then the fuel rail will come loose. And you see my injectors are still attached. Okay, to take these injectors out, there's a clip that looks like this. You can see it. It's a clip that looks like that. You can take a little screwdriver like this and just get in behind it like that, like this one. You can kind of turn these things too. Just take your little screwdriver and go in behind that clip like that right there. Just go in behind this clip and pop it off, and then you can slide your injector out. You just slide that clip right back in there, just like that, around your injector. Just like that. That clip goes back in there, just like that. And then I can kind of turn that around and feel it's not going to fall out. Just do the same for all 6 of them. Okay, I'm about ready to go back in with my new fuel injectors into the slots here. What I'm going to do is take some motor oil and dip each one of these in that before I do that, make it easier to get in, and I won't tear up my O-rings. Another thing I'm going to do here is dip my finger in some of this oil and then come over here and just kind of lubricate my quartz there. Then I'm going to set my injectors in place, making sure they all get in the hole and lined up. You can see I'm even with my screw holes up here, or my bolt holes. And I'm going to work that down in there. I'm going to go around the other side and set them in. Just like that. Just make sure they get set down in those holes and that they're all lined up and ready to get in there. Okay, as you can see here, I've got my injectors put in place. Now I'm going to work that down in there. Okay, now that I've got my fuel injector seated, I'm going to tighten back up my Torx bolts on this side. Next thing you want to do is come over to this side and make sure your injectors are seated there, and then get your fuel line locked back in. Just pull this line up right here, and then push up on it, and you should hear a click and it'll lock. Okay, next I'm going to reinstall my air conditioner support bracket right here. Remember, your short bolt goes in the back. And your two long bolts go in the front. Okay, now I'm putting on my purge solenoid. Okay, now I got my purge solenoid back on and tightened up. Got my air conditioner bracket back on. It's time to go back with the throttle body. Okay, at this point I'm ready to put my throttle body back on. I got my brand new gasket right here in place. This is a Pro gasket. Replaces 530, 541. Okay, now I'm going to set my throttle body back on here and get my bolts lined up. Using a 1/2 inch wrench. Just want to tighten that down good and snug. I'm actually saving myself about $300 doing this repair myself from a shop, which wouldn't be that bad. I know a pretty good mechanic that's not too bad for doing this, but the injectors cost so much, I thought, I better do this myself. One thing I didn't do is buy the cheap eBay fuel injectors. People were telling me don't buy those whole sets that are 49 or 50 bucks because they ain't gonna last long, or they may not work out of the box. So I got remanufactured ones from Atlanta Auto Parts on eBay. Okay. My injector that wasn't working was the number 2 on this side, on the passenger side, very front cylinder. I think I said in another video I've been chasing a problem with this truck for a while. Well, that fuel injector was intermittent. It was working sometimes and not others. That's why I didn't think it was that. And I stuck a screwdriver to the top of it and listened. That's how I found out I had one not working. good and tight. Alright. Then I'm going to want to hook up this vacuum line right here. Okay, now I'm hooking up this vacuum line. I had to kind of make something for this because it come apart on me one time when I had to take it off. Okay, now I'm going to hook my electronics back up. I'm going for the idle air control, which is tucked away everywhere here. And don't forget to put this hose back on right here too, this vent hose on your fuel regulator. And this is going to connect back in here, just like that. Then the throttle position sensor, or control or sensor, whatever you want to call it. Then our map sensor hooks back up right there. Alright, I think everything's pretty secure. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to come over here now and we're going to hook back up our throttle cable, which is if you'll see there's a hole right there. You just put that on there and push on it and it should click in. Then on our other cable here, we're going to stick this back through here, back through our holder right there, just like that, and lock that back in. Then to get this back in, you'll see there's a slot right there. You're going to pull that up here and put that on that slot, just like that, and then pull back. And then, I'm sorry, pull back. I think I got you out of frame. Put that on that slot and just pull back on it and it'll lock in. Pull it back this way. And that's our cable set up. Okay, I'm doing a little final inspection here to make sure I've got everything hooked up. All my cables, my fuel injectors are hooked up in the right place. And I just pray I don't have any leaks. Vacuum line hooked up there. Idle air control. And don't forget this sensor right here too. I think this is an air temperature sensor. Over here, make sure you got your map sensor, throttle position sensor. That's the idle air control, of course, plug for it. And plugged up with my purge control. And my injectors are hooked in over here. So I think I'm about ready to try it. I just need to disconnect my resistor that I drained my computer with. Hook my battery cables back up. Okay, now I'm going to connect my battery cables. Tighten those up, 1/2 inch wrench. I was just sitting here thinking how much of a pain in the ass this repair has been. Oh, I just hope nothing leaks. We got our battery connected, I'm sorry. Now what we're going to want to do is put our fuel pump relay back in, and that goes in this corner one. If you ever have any questions about this, you can look at your box here. You can see it will tell you which one is your fuel pump relay. Okay, I turned on my switch and I don't see any leaks. I'm looking over here. Just showing you here, I got some moisture down here. I got gas pulling up. This second one right here is leaking from the top. So I'm going to have to pull that fuel rail on this side back up and maybe go get an O-ring for it. I kind of thought when I put this second one in, when I was putting it in the fuel rail part of the, I could see a little piece of the blue washer come off, so I kind of wondered when I put that one back in, but I wasn't sure if that was off the old one or what, but it's leaking. I gotta take it back off. Well, I was sure right about that O-ring in the top on that one. See how that's missing a chunk out of it? If you guys are ever putting one of these in, you see a chunk of your whatever color your seal is fall out, you better stop and put nothing in it. So anyway, I've replaced that with actually a new one here. We're going to stick that back in and see if it stops the leak. Okay, got my battery connected again. I'm going to check for leaks again. So far everything looks dry. It's my second one that was leaking there. Try to start it. Alright. That's putting fuel injectors in a Dodge Dakota. No check engine light so far. Oil pressure's good. To be running okay so far. Sure, it'll take the computer some time to get used to everything. Okay, we're started up. We've checked for leaks. Let's try to do a road test. Alright. Seems to be pretty good so far. One thing about resetting your computer, it takes it a little bit to get used to running things, and when you change stuff, certainly that would be the case. I tell you though, right now it's running better than it has in the last year and a half. I've been getting a lot of hesitation out of it. It's like it always wants to run rough. Doesn't seem to be doing that now. But like I said, I have one injector that wasn't working. So that's like having the cylinder not firing. Alright, that's putting fuel injectors in a Dodge '93 Dodge Dakota V6.